Hey, Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and I'm joined now with Eddie Hearn.
Hi. You need your heels on. How are you?
It's been a flats type of week.
Some good work.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Been doing a lot of traveling around.
Yes, I saw you. I was actually in the same suite you were in, interviewing Tyson Fury yesterday. No. Yeah, correct.
Really?
With the big windows. Yeah.
Speaking of Tyson Fury, did he get what he needed to get by Tuesday?
Yep. I don't want to talk too much about it because I think people are bored of me talking. All I'll tell you, which I haven't said to anyone yet, is that both sides have approved the site offer that they want to go with. And now we're just finalising the site deal, and we're in a great place. I saw Tyson yesterday.
How was that?
Yeah, it was good. I just messaged him and said, I'm in Vegas. I knew where he was staying. I said, I'm in your hotel if you fancy a cuppa. And we just had 5 or 10 minutes together, and it was good because I don't represent Tyson Fury, so I don't know what's in his mind. And what he basically cemented in my mind was, this is the only fight he wants. Do you know what I mean? And I know that's the same with AJ. So it was just good to say, right, we've got the offer. We all approve. We're moving forward now. We're good. Okay. I'm not going to go into where it's going to be held, but it has been agreed by both sides that the option we will take, and you'll get the date very soon and the official announcement.
Is it safe to say that it's definitely going to be this summer?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, and that's the thing. Everybody wants this fight as soon as possible. There is no option for this fight to go at the back end of the year, and I've made that clear. And that's been probably the hardest thing about securing the site deal, is that in this world we live in today, most people would like to kick it to November, December. That's not available. It was never available. What was available was a summer fight for the undisputed heavyweight world championship. That is what you're going to get, and both guys want 2 fights this year. One will be in the summer and one will be in December. That's the plan. And like I said, it was just good to hear it from the horse's mouth yesterday to say, no, we're all in. This is the fight for us. And we kind of it's almost like animosity aside, that will start once the press conference start. We have to work together to get this over the line, and all of his side, everyone's being proactive, and they have been. And like I said, you've seen a bit from the fighters, a bit from AJ, and everyone's happy with the situation. We just need the official announcement now, and that will be very soon. I don't. Again, that's why I don't want to talk too much, because I keep saying it'll be very soon, and then people tweet me and go, but you have to understand it is quite a difficult process, particularly in this world. And I'll probably make the mistake of probably being a little bit too positive, And the question is, what percentage chance does this guy? It's I don't know, 90. How long? I don't know, 2 weeks? And everyone's like, well, 2 weeks are up. You said 2 weeks. So all I can say is like I said, we've both sides are happy with the offer that's on the table now and ready to move forward. One
of the things that I really sort of clocked during the interview with Tyson was there's still some sort of legal stuff going on. It doesn't seem as though that has sort of disappeared. Is that the only thing that's possibly holding back this fight? I
don't think that can hold the fight back. It's definitely ongoing. And again, that's their business, their side. So I don't know too much about it, but I do know that probably from Deontay Wilder's side, I don't think Deontay Wilder actually. Oh look, Liam Williams and Demetrius Andre. Right, mate. That's Demetrius Andre and Liam Williams. Okay. So that's their business. I don't think Deontay Wilder even wants to fight Tyson Fury, to be honest with you. I think that... Oh, it's still going. I think that... I just think he wants to cause trouble, and I think he's probably looking for some money. And it's a shame, because it's the fight boxing wants and needs. It's not going to get derailed by this, in my opinion, but it is probably quite annoying for them, because they are having to... You can't just ignore something like that. You have to go through the right channels and defend yourself and make sure it's dealt with, and that's what Bob Arum's doing. And, like I said, from our point of view, I don't see that being an issue in the fight.
Okay. I don't want to bore you with constantly. I know you're probably going to end up like having to repeat that like 10 times over today.
Yeah,
So
at least everyone's queuing up to.
but we are here in Miami for Demetrius Andrade versus Liam Williams, and we just saw that they were the exchange.
Yeah.
It's starting to heat up a bit. Things are getting a bit tense now.
It's a really good fight. I mean, look, you know Liam Williams, you know his reputation, you know Dominic, you know all these guys. They're here to fight, and that's what I want for Demetrius, because all these other people, you know, some have tried but haven't been good enough. Like Luke Keeler is a good example. Great guy, good fighter, talked a great game, just wasn't good enough. Do you know what I mean? Akavov, Kauton Dokwa, Selecki. Demetrius hasn't lost a round to these guys. I don't know when last time he lost a round. I want someone that is going to put it on him, that is going to do all the things that he said he's going to do. And if I had to pick someone from the World Championship contenders, I would pick Liam Williams as the guy that I truly believe will do that. So I'm excited for this fight because I think Demetrius's sort of problem or possibility is that he might just have missed the boat of his prime. Do you know what I mean? Even though he's not been hit, even though it's like, how much do you want to get up for these fights? That's what I like to see, what I've just seen. That was off camera. Well, you got it on camera, but do you know what I mean? So he needs that because I feel like he wants Charlo, he wants Golovkin, he wants Canelo. How can you get up for Liam Williams? Well, the way you get up for it is for it being personal. And for someone saying, and I think Demetrius thinks, I want to stop this kid. I want to hurt him. And I know Liam Williams will bring it. I think it's going to be, I think it's a really, really competitive fight.
No, I think so too. And I think a lot of people are writing off this fight. I mean, that's all you're seeing online.
I just think that a lot of US fans don't know enough about Liam Williams. They look at the resume. They saw he lost 2 good fights to Liam Smith, who's a world-class fighter as well. But he's also improved a lot since then. Like, a great stop. I know Alonte Fox is not an elite world fighter, but, you know, Demetrius went 10 with him, and Liam just absolutely destroyed him. So he's tough, he can punch, and he's exciting. I think the UK fans are really pumped for this fight, because they know Liam Williams is live. But I think that the general feeling of US fans is, when is Demetrius going to fight Golovkin, Charlo? Like, we can't do any more.
Like when I interviewed Billy, I said, you know, a lot of people would consider Demetrius Andrade being avoided. He goes, is he avoided or is he avoider?
No, he's avoided, but Billy Joe was up for fighting him, and so is Liam. But I think the guys, I had a meeting yesterday with Louis de Cubas, and I just said to him, like, why doesn't Charlo fight Demetrius? Oh, you know, I said, no, but you know, like, you keep saying I want to unify the division, yet you won't fight the world champion. And you can't say that it's down to the money, because it'd take the same money that you gave Derevenchenko, right? And it's a much bigger fight. This is actually a pay-per-view fight, Charlo against Andrade. If you're doing Charlo against Derevenchenko as pay-per-view, bet your life Charlo against Andrade is going to do double the buys of that. But there's this problem, Michelle, that these young fighters, not even young fighters, these American fighters that grew up with Demetrius, grew up with him as an amateur and saw how good he was. Do you know what I mean? So I think they're like, leave Demetrius. Like, he's good, that kid. Do you know what I mean? But he hasn't showed. Like, I know he's won every round, but it's not like he's been setting the world alight with his performances. They've been really good. But I feel like this is the kind of fight where he might just look really, really good. Or he might struggle and win, and then the other guys go, do you know what, I'll fight him. Gennady, Charlo, all these people.
You know, he's really campaigning for that Triple G fight. He's saying that's the one, that he really...
I think the same. But again, if you're Gennady Golovkin, you look at Demetrius and you go, you know, tricky southpaw, like, you know, is that for me? You need someone that really wants to unify. When I look at Canelo Alvarez, right, and you know, my new number one fanboy, right, he'll fight anyone. Like, people don't really want to fight Billy Joe Saunders. He's really good, really tricky. Like, he's like
what you call a high risk, low reward.
But he's champion. So Canelo doesn't look at Billy Joe as low risk. He looks at, low reward. He looks at his high reward because he's got a belt. I want the other champions to look at Demetrius Andrade and say, he's good, he's got a belt, I'm a champion, that's what I'm supposed to do. Do you know what I mean? And it's really frustrating. But it's not a dig at Charlo. I like Charlo. But when you're giving interviews saying, I want to be like my brother, I want to unify the division, I want all the champions, you don't. Because if you did, you would fight Demetrius Andrade. And it's really frustrating. And listen, I do a lot of shit talk and smack talk and hype, but sometimes, a bit like Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, you just need to take a second as a fan and break down what is happening and saying, why are they not doing these fights? What is the reason? There is no reason. You know, sometimes you could say, oh, well, the money's not there, or Demetrius isn't a draw. Not true anymore. We've seen him do 8,000 or 9,000 in Providence. If pay-per-view is happening for Derevenchenko against Charlo, why not do Charlo against Andrade? He does double the buys, it's the same money, and Charlo's going to make a load of money. Same with Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney. You know, I only want to fight Pacquiao, I only want to fight Tank. They're the only fights I'm interested in. Okay, so you avoid Devin Haney, who actually you're mandatory for, which is a big payday, and then you go and fight Fortuna, which is a good fight, by the way. I'm not, but fans sometimes have got to look at things and say that don't make sense. And there are two instances that don't make sense. And basically what it comes down to is the teams don't want to fight those people because they think they're too tough a fight.
I was going to say, a lot of people were confused by that. They're like, wait a minute, I don't understand, why isn't Ryan Garcia fighting if he's the mandatory to Devin Haney?
Well, I don't think people have given, it's not about giving Ryan heat, because he's a great kid, he's a great fighter, he's brilliant for the sport. But in that situation, you just have to say, hang on, the Luke Campbell fight with Ryan Garcia was a final eliminator for Devin Haney, right? It was for the WBC interim title. The winner is mandated to fight Haney. He won that fight in a great performance, and then the WBC said, right, you're going to fight Haney. And he went, and Golden Boy went, no, we're not actually. It's like, okay, we're going to go for Tank and we're going to go for Pacquiao. Two fights that if they got those over Haney, mate, 1,000,000%, you're right to take them. Okay, they weren't possible. So then you fight another guy, like, the money to fight Haney is massive, but it's just that his team look at Devin Haney and go, that's a really tough fight, okay? Just like Charlo's team look at Demetrius and go, that's a really tough fight. Just like Gennadi's team look at Demetrius and go, that's a really tough fight. That's the truth. So those fights have to become big enough, like you say, going back to higher risk, you know, where Devin Haney against Ryan Garcia, which for me is one of the best fights in boxing. You know, and I hear like, oh, you know, it's COVID, or, you know, we need to do this and do that. Like, when these fights are out of the way, if Ryan Garcia doesn't fight Devin Haney, if he beats Fortuna, and if Haney beats Linares, there's really something wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just, everyone should be putting pressure on that fight. And they're two great fights. Like, I'm not knocking Garcia against Fortuna. It's a really good fight. And Linares, you know, he could beat Haney. Who knows? So they're good fights for the division. But if they both win, I feel like someone's just got to put some pressure on to say, guys, come on. Because you can't talk about other people and ignore. Like, you can't say, I want Teofimo, I want Tank, I want Lomachenko, I want this, and not mention Devin Haney. Just like if you're a middleweight world champion, when has Charlo or Gennady Golovkin ever mentioned the name of Demetrius Andrade? Never.
Well, when they chat shit, they do.
Well, but take the fight then.
I mean, I don't remember verbatim what Charlo had said, but did you see the clip of what Charlo was saying about Demetrius?
Like, I'll slap him, I'll knock him out. Yeah, but take the fight. I sat down with your team yesterday and we talked about loads of different things, and I said, he is available, he's not expensive, he won't price himself out, he's a world champion. It's a great fight for American boxing. Yeah. Charlo Andrade is a great fight for American boxing. I've made you offers, you know, you want to stay where you are, no problem. We'll do it on Fox. We'll do it on Showtime. We'll do it anywhere. I just want Demetrius to get his opportunity. But tomorrow, or Saturday rather, he's got to come through that fight, yeah? He may not come through. It's going to be a really tough test.
I know we got to wrap up. Let me just have you stand a little bit more this way. You slowly move. We slowly go like this. Wait a minute. Oh, Ebony Bridges.
Yes, great fight.
She's looking, I think she wants to be signed by you, mate.
We're talking. I've actually made her an offer. I've got another fight with her anyway, but I would like to extend that. I mean, you know, she caused a lot of views, headlines. But
Turned a lot of heads.
Yeah, but the thing is, for cutting all that to the side, she put up a great fight.
Yeah, she did.
And we've got to give Shannon Courtney unbelievable props because she fought great, and she won. I thought the scorecards weren't really fair on Ebony, but she definitely won the fight, Shannon. And I think, although a lot of people are talking about Ebony, we should also talk about Shannon. Great performance. But we should talk about women's boxing. When there's hype for that, and when, you know, there's all this talk about, oh, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't wear that. But if they would have got in there and it would have been poor, it really actually would have affected women's boxing. So I feel like they had a lot of pressure on their shoulders because everyone's waiting, aren't they, to criticise or moan. You know, oh, this is rubbish. Oh, these two shouldn't be fighting for a world title. Oh, all she was turning up in her, wanted to wear underwear at the weigh-in. Oh, this is a joke. Oh, but actually it went the other way, and it was so good that it was such a great advert. But I've been getting stopped this week saying, I love that fight. I checked into the airport on Tuesday, whenever it was, and this lady, I reckon she was in her 50s, right? I'm sorry if you're not in your 50s and you are younger than that. She said to me, oh, I loved the Shannon Courtney Ebony fight. I loved it. She was going, they were covered in blood and I didn't know where. And that's great for the sport. Like, that's how we're going to start improving the quality of the fights, improving the purses. Like, that fight, I had a debate with Ebony the other day. She was like, I think my fight was bigger than Conor Benn's fight. And I said, oh, steady. But what it was a lot of people watched it, a lot of people engaged in the build-up, a lot of people interacted, and a lot of people were excited for that fight. That's how you're going to increase the money. Because it comes down to, and I keep saying this, and I was debating with someone yesterday about it, and this is the Clarissa Shields effect, right? Just because you are an undisputed two-weight world champion in women's boxing, it doesn't mean you make the same money as an undisputed male fighter if your value is different, right? Clarissa Shields has huge value, she's a huge name, but as of yet, she doesn't draw the numbers of an undisputed two-weight male champion. When they do, they must be paid the same. That's equality, right? And I don't go too deep about women's boxing money and men's boxing money. It's just how much is that fight worth to the card? How many tickets does that sell? How many subscribers does that drive? That's how you represent the value of a fight. What mustn't happen, and what is completely wrong, is when you get a fight that is that has the same value as a male fight, and the females are paid half. That's wrong, okay? And with people like Bridges and Courtney, the argument there is, wow, they had more value than another co-main event on another card, and did they get paid the same? That's the debate. And through great fights like that, through great promotion and self-promotion, those purses will continue to rise because they're becoming draws, they're becoming names, and they're putting on a great product.
Do you know what's a famous saying, Ed?
Go on.
Nobody wants to die, but everyone wants to go to heaven.
Fucking where has that come from? Nobody wants.
We're going to wrap it there.
Good, but what do you mean by that? I like it. I like the line, but what do you mean?
Everyone, I fucked up.
I agree. No, I agree. I want to go to heaven. I don't really want to die. I'm not scared. Are you afraid of dying? Are you afraid of dying?
I'm not afraid of dying. I have to pee so bad right now.
No, but I don't really wish to know that. But I don't feel like, I want to get to a stage where when you go, right, you're like, I'm ready. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Everyone wants to go to heaven.
Yeah, but I think that's a great way to go. When you're like, my granddad passed recently, and it was like, he was old, he was ill, he was 94, and he was like, I'm ready to die. I'm ready to go to heaven.
He's lived his life.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a great way. But you've got to live your life so that when the good Lord takes you, when it's your time, you can turn around and go, do you know what? If it's my time, it's my time. And I've had a great run. Right?
Amen.
I don't know where we're going with that, but that's how I feel. And you have to you have to look yourself in the mirror every day and go, if the good Lord took me now, right? 1, would I have any regrets? 2, could I have done more? 3, and I kind of feel like that's the way you should live your life, to say, you know what? And that's the way I feel. I mean, I know I look 26, but I'm 41, right? But even at 41, I feel like, do you know what? This is quite depressing. But if I was to pass, right? Yeah. I've done, I really have given it my all, right? Yeah, not complete, because I'd like to live till 90. But everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die.
Exactly. That's
or is
just
it no one wants to die, but everyone
no one wants to die, but everyone wants to go to heaven.
Well, I don't know where that came from, but it was a very interesting last 2 minutes. I know. Oh,
Well, YOLO.
yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Nice to talk about death at the end, you know. Mixing a bit of death with Fury Joshua and Andrade against Williams, and so we've talked all our subjects. Let's talk about death. Do you know what I mean? And Eddie, do you want to go to heaven? And so, do you believe in heaven?
Of course I do.
Is that because you want to believe, because you hope it exists, or you genuinely believe?
I genuinely believe.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
It's an interesting topic. It's hard to say because according to what my beliefs are, there is no reincarnation, but I have seen some pretty compelling stories that you might question, like, does it exist?
Do you think, like, when you talk about reincarnation, do you think that it's when they come back as an animal? Do you believe in that one?
No, I want to believe it's... Do you know what? Do you want to hear something funny? As if this couldn't get any more random. But what's funny to me is, do you ever think, like, when someone's just like, okay, maybe they're not a murderer, they're not like really bad, right? But they're just not good people, right? I want to believe that if there is such thing as reincarnation, that they've come back as like a cockroach or something, or a tree. Just a fucking tree. So they spend like the next several hundred years as a punishment just sitting there.
Wasn't there a film like that once?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're just a stump. You're just a stump sitting there, and
What you're saying is that if someone's a bad person, you hope they can come back reincarnated as a cockroach or a tree. Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, Ed.
Listen, you've had a good week. Like, you've hit some big numbers, but I don't know where you're going with this.
Me either.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Hey, this is interesting.
Michelle Joy Phelps and Eddie Hearn talking about death, reincarnation, cockroaches, trees, and Joshua Fury.
I appreciate it, Ed. High five. See you in London in 2 weeks. Bye, Fight fans. Hey, Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else